Welcome back. Headlining your sports news, South African mining magnate and Mamelodi Sundowns President Patrice Motsepe has been confirmed as the President of the Confederation of African Football. Motsepe, who was unopposed, will become the Federation's 8th President and the first from an English-speaking African country. The announcement was made at the CAF General Assembly in Rabat in Morocco.
Please celebrate the election of the new CAF President through your applause. Thank you.
Merci, dear President.
Thank you.
What can I say? Congratulations. So you have the microphone. Just to say some few for the General Assembly members.
Thank you so very much. This is not the time for me to speak. I'll be making a few remarks later. Time is of the essence. So I've just been asked to express my gratitude very quickly and go and sit down, and then later I will make a few brief remarks. Let me start by saying it's a huge honor and a huge privilege for me, and we spent the morning hearing the challenges that confronts African football, and I'll talk later about what all of us can and will do together. But let me just thank my brother Constant. President, thank you so much. Can we... and also thank my brother Gianni for the vision and the encouragement of unity. We can only deal with the challenges of Africa, and we will succeed. But we'll only do so. We will only do so when we are united. So, thank you so much, my brother Gianni, and for your leadership, and my sister Fatma. Thank you so much, Fatma, for your leadership, and just like Gianni, you belong to us. You are one of us, and we are proud of the good work that you and Gianni and the rest of the FIFA team is doing globally.
And here's some reaction from key figures in the sporting fraternity.
Dr. Motsepe, thank you so much. Thank you so much. But the work starts here. Congratulations. We are proud of you, immensely proud of you. And you have a huge, huge mandate to carry all of us to the promised land. And the promised land is one thing: make sport accessible and make everyone happy. Congratulations, Dr. Motsepe.
Well, Patrice, I can only say from my point of view, I've served on the CAF Disciplinary Committee for a number of years. I think you're the best thing that could happen to South African football, but more importantly, you're the best thing that can happen to African football, because your focus is on Africa and ensuring that Africa is together and we're able to take all the national associations of Africa forward to show the rest of the world the talent that we have here, and that we are certainly a forerunner for world dominance in football one day.
I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate Dr. Motsepe on his fantastic achievement of becoming the President of CAF. You, as a South African, have done us proud, and we look forward to working you to develop the beautiful game, not only in South Africa, but in the whole of Africa. Well done, sir, and all the best for the future and in your endeavors of growing the beautiful game.
I want to congratulate Patrice Motsepe as the new CAF President. He has had overwhelming support to start, and of course this day has come. Congratulations to South Africa as a continent, our COSAFA, our region. Finally, we have many football lovers, and I'm sure that everybody is happy, everybody is rejoicing in our region, but all over Africa and in the world, to find a man in the stature of Patrice Motsepe leading the all-important Confederation of African Football.
Right, and for more on the story, I'm joined by football journalist Velile Mnyandu. Velile, welcome to the program. Now, since its inception, CAF has felt like a closed society. Is Dr. Patrice Motsepe's presidency going to be able to open up the continent for everybody?
Well, thank you, Simon. I think you will appreciate that the outgoing CAF president, unfortunately, who's since been banned now by the FIFA Ethics Committee, Ahmad, came from this region, the COSAFA region. He is the one who ended the reign of Issa Hayatou, who had been in power for 29 years. But I think from an Anglophone, an English-speaking president, it's been a while. I know that most people are talking about this being the first English-speaking president of CAF, but maybe when you look at Ethiopia, where do they fall? So those are just some of the things. But I think from a South African point of view, as a country which was readmitted into international football back in the early 90s, around 1991 and 1992, and now to deliver a CAF president, without a doubt, is something big for our country. And it comes in at a time when there are some critical issues. CAF, just earlier today, during this elective Congress, they presented their financials, which are not looking good at all. And even Patrice Motsepe has acknowledged that as well.
Velile, no offense to Madagascar, but I think South Africa is one of the leading lights on the continent and should be there when conversations of leadership in football come to be. A lot of horse trading going on before the presidency was announced. How did his path open up to the presidency? Because it seemed like when everybody fell away, that was very convenient and he ascended the throne. But what happened in the background?
I think coming to today's Congress, everyone around the continent and even outside Africa had been talking about Patrice Motsepe being this anointed leader by Gianni Infantino, the FIFA president, and how the path has been open for him to ascend. But if you look at some of the numbers when it comes to the votes, especially in the FIFA Council, and you look at some of the people who were in the slate of Patrice Motsepe, it tells you that he had the numbers, with or without the intervention of FIFA. If you look at the landslide victory of one of his main campaigners, and I'm talking about the Nigerian Football Federation president, Amaju Pinnick, he won by 43-8. You look at Waberi, he got over 40 votes. So it tells you that the numbers that they've been talking about consistently of 35 to 40 votes, those numbers ended up being true. But I think there is, in a way, a sense that this unity has been brokered by FIFA, and FIFA has been central in these discussions. But I think now all of that, it ends today, because today they are together and they have to work very hard to get African football out of this big hole it finds itself.
Right, so there was some intervention from FIFA. Tell us about the backstory with Patrice and Gianni. Where do they fit in, and how was their relationship fostered? Because obviously, as you said, Gianni is backing Patrice.
I never said Gianni is backing Patrice, but I was just talking about the unity that has been promoted. For your information, when Gianni came into the continent a few weeks ago, when he was on that mini tour, at that time he was alleged to be backing Ahmed Yahya. The story goes that when he landed in Africa and on the ground he found that Ahmed Yahya might not make it. Then there's this story of Motsepe that came up, and at that time I remember there was supposed to be a COSAFA AGM. It was supposed to be on a Saturday. It ended up being abruptly changed to being on a Sunday, and Gianni came to attend it. And I think that's also went together. They also went to see the president of the country, Cyril Ramaphosa. The rest is history after that. But I think if I can go back to your initial question about where does the relationship, or where did the relationship between Gianni and Patrice started? I remember way back. I think it was just after the new executive of CAF under Ahmad had been elected. There were some meetings between African football clubs and some important stakeholders around African football, and they met FIFA and also the CAF leadership at the time. And Patrice Motsepe at the time, together with the likes of TP Mazembe President, Moise Katumbi, and they were the people who were invited to this meeting. And from there, we started to see more of Patrice Motsepe with Gianni Infantino. You will recall that famous or infamous Donald Trump presser, and you know what happened there. If for me you want to talk about these CAF elections and you want to go back and tell to the story, they had Donald Trump in between them, and side by side it was Patrice Motsepe and Gianni Infantino. You can go back.
Interesting. Look, I don't want to step on any political landmines. I just was alluding to the fact there might be a relationship between Gianni and Patrice. But now I want to get to the relationship between.
I think it's important we give people the information as it is. Because
Absolutely.
Sometimes, because sometimes there are a lot of stories that happen in sport.
No, I'm the first to realize this is a highly charged environment. So now what I want to know is Patrice's relationship to SAFA, because I distinctly remember Patrice stepping into world football and brokering deals between Barcelona and Brazil to get them over here when SAFA couldn't do that. And obviously he painted himself as a man of action. So where does SAFA stand in their relationship to Patrice? Is it a friendly one? Is it a working relationship? Is it a one where they're like, oh gosh, at least he's now on the continent and he's away from us?
I think, firstly, what is important now, we have to understand that he is not just a president of looking after South African interests or looking after the COSAFA, which is the SADC region politically. Football is COSAFA. He's the president of all the 54 members of the Confederation of African Football. Yes, for him to come and be eligible to stand, his nomination was sponsored by SAFA, and that's one of the reasons why Denis Jordan couldn't stand. Remember, Denis Jordan is the outgoing vice president. He couldn't stand because the regulations of the policies of CAF is that in the executive committee or at that level, a country can only have one representative. So Denis Jordan had to step down for Motsepe to be nominated and elected. So what I can say is it's a proud moment for SAFA, because for the first time they've nominated a president at CAF and is succeeded to the president of CAF. But African football problems.
But I mean, Velile, this is very good news. We've got Pitso up north. He's doing his thing in Egypt. We've got Patrice. He's now been able to penetrate that impregnable wall of CAF, of their senior leadership, which was for years kind of isolating South Africa. So there's so much positivity going on in terms of how South Africa can now influence the continent and take it forward, where perhaps there were old relationships which were being protected. Is that how we can see this?
Without a doubt, Simon, without a doubt. I mean, Patrice Motsepe comes in at a critical time when more than half of the continent, especially in the sub-Saharan Africa, we cannot access the CAF Champions League, CAF Confederation Cup, the AFCON qualifiers. Very soon we'll be starting the World Cup qualifiers. We cannot access that. And this is due to the bungling of the TV rights by the outgoing executive committee. And some of the ExCo members who are also a part of his team even now, because the makeup of the CAF Exco hasn't changed that much, you know. So he comes in at a very critical time. Like we had also said earlier, the issue of the financials and the issues of corporate governance, and I mean we're talking about a president who's just been suspended now, and even one of his vice presidents who also was ruled out of contention due to some sanctions that come from the FIFA ethics committee as well. So there are a lot of problems that Patrice Motsepe has to try and sort them out. And also we cannot be naive and also be ignorant that yes, he's been the president of Mamelodi Sundowns for the past 17 to 18 years. But we also know that football administration-wise, as someone who's not been there on day-to-day basis, he's not strong enough. And I think even in the press conference that I've just listened to now, he was relying more on his vice presidents, Ahmed Yaya, and also Augustine Sengo, and his senior advisor, Jacques Anoma, who also happened to be the three candidates that was going to vie against, and we were to withdraw for him to ascend to this position. So it also means that there's a lot of homework by those who are close to him, and even the staff at CAF that has to work in speed to get him to be sharp around these matters. But also we understand that when it comes to football administration, and especially at this level, it is not all about just Patrice Motsepe. As they always say in sport, you're as good as the team and the teammates around you.
Absolutely. Velile, we're out of time, but thank you very much for your comments and for your analysis there. That was Velile Mnyandu, and he's the foremost authority of football at home and on the continent. Well, we're going to take a quick break. Your weather's up next.